Hello, thanks for tuning in. I'm here today with my HeadRush pedal board. I'm having a look at the Para EQ and I'm going to explain exactly what it is and how it works. Let's go! Now, as I'm sure you all know, HeadRush have just released their new MX5, which is a teensy-weensy version of the pedal board. Now, as far as I know, it has all of the same functionality, just a few less buttons, and it still includes the foot switch, which is brilliant. Now, the Para EQ, let's have a look at how it works. Firstly, you'll know if you go into the global settings, whoa, going to the global settings, we can see just here that we have EQ. Now, I personally use the global EQ very minimal because every patch is going to be different and it's going to need its own tweaking. So I've put a low cut down at 50, a high cut at 10K, and just a little bit at the low mids and a little bit out of the high mids. All right, so firstly, playing through my Gibson Les Paul Standard, set up a really simple patch here using the Marshall and the Tube Screamer. Really basic. So of course we can get this to sound better. We can go in and we can tweak all of these settings on the amp. You can change the mic on the cab, you can change your cab. Now, I usually don't use the stock cabs in the HeadRush. I have a few IRs that I really like that I've pulled in, and I'll show you why I use that at the end. So the Para EQ, turning it on. Now, this is just the default. I've changed the default. I don't actually remember what it is, but I've tried to get it back fairly close to what it would be. So gain 1, gain 2, 3, and 4, meaning it's a 4-band EQ. The Para EQ in the HeadRush looks just like this guy here. Type 1 and Type 4, we can do a shelf, a peak, 6, 12, 24, or notch. So what do they mean? Let's leave it on shelf. Number 1, if we put this at this setting like that, and we match it here, 100 Hertz, I put the Q to 0.8, boost, that's what's happening there. It's a low shelf, so it's literally looks like a shelf being boosted at 100 Hertz. So obviously there's a little bit of a taper off, but that's more or less what's happening with that one. Let's see how it sounds. So obviously it boosts the lows, that's awesome. The next two, gains 2 and 3, are going to be a peak. There's a Q here of 6.5, and if I boost it, that's what's happening there. I'm boosting that frequency here, nice and tight like this. That's what the Q of 6.6 or 6.5 means. If I open that up, a lower Q means a wider Q, meaning that you're going to be boosting more around that frequency. And if you tighten it right up, it's going to get a lot tighter, just like so. That's really good for finding a frequency you don't like and pulling it out. So that's how you would use the peak. Now on the next one, we've obviously got the same as Type 1. I'm going to change EQs because this one has a bit more control. So if I go here and change to, let's go 6 dB cut, that's what that looks like. See, it's cutting everything from this frequency here. With the cut on 6, the slope is not so steep, and as we go through to 12 and 24, you can see it gets a lot sharper and a lot steeper. And lastly, on the Para EQ, we have the notch. If we look here, change this one, oh, that's already changed to notch, and we boost that. What we can do if we tighten that up, let's look at the difference between that and this. You can see notch literally means a notch. If you think of it like a knife into a tree, it's gonna notch out. If there's a really sharp frequency that's sticking in your ear hole, then you can grab the notch, really hone in on it and pull it out and not affect your overall tone too much, but you can clean up that frequency. Obviously EQ, we know, is an equalizer and it helps us shape our tone. So let's do that. Now the best tip I can give you to help get in and shape that tone without having to play and then stop and tweak and then play, stop and tweak, is you use the looper that's in the pedal board. So we go in, turn this one here, it'll be on post, change it to pre, and just record a little riff. And there we go. So if we stop that, if we turn off all our effects and play that back now, that is now just the dry signal playing back because it's recorded the guitar pre-effects, meaning it's just the dry signal of the guitar and then that's going to be affected. So we can play that back and fix our tone on the go. Now quite often you're going to use a cut on the top and the bottom. There we go. That's what the Para EQ is and how it works. Now there are two reasons I use an IR instead of the stock cabs. Firstly, the cabs sound great, but they could sound better, hence IR. Load one of mine in. I like this one apparently. Whenever you're building a tone, make sure you're checking your input and output settings. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video just here. Check that out. See that already? Boom. Cool. Now the reason I'd use the IR is if we look at the IR, we've got a low cut and a high cut already on the impulse response. The cabs do not just do that. So you do this on your IR and that frees up another 2 spots on your EQ. So we don't need a cut here or here anymore. We can use a peak and we can find another frequency that we don't like or a frequency that we do like and bring it up, make it sound nicer. And that's it for today, guys. Pretty straightforward. I hope that's helped you understand the Para EQ and can help you get your tone sounding awesome in no time. Stay tuned. Catch you next time.